Hello, I'm Paul Kladzik. I'm the medical director and owner of LowCarbMD. I'm board certified in preventative medicine, and I'm also assistant clinical faculty at the Wright State University Boonshoff School of Medicine, where I've served in a teaching capacity for the last 25 years. I've also previously been on the faculty of the Ohio State University College of Medicine. I'm also board certified in emergency medicine, and the emergency department is where I spent a good part of my career. I realized by my experience in the emergency department the importance obesity and diabetes play in many other health problems. By seeing the impact of obesity and diabetes on my patients, I realized that an aggressive approach to the management of these conditions can be very, very important in a person's overall health. Of course, the end-stage problems associated with obesity and diabetes are heart attacks, strokes, bad peripheral vascular disease, serious infections, and many other serious complications. I've now spent about 20 years of experience in the wellness, weight loss, and metabolic health field. LowCarbMD, our practice, is a practice in Ohio and Indiana that serves patients in our local offices in Dayton and Richmond, and also by telemedicine for patients throughout both states. Our practice provides weight loss and metabolic health medical services, and we're going to talk in a minute about what metabolic health is and how metabolic health problems are addressed. We use evidence-based approaches. What that means is we use data-driven therapies that are proven to work. The tools we provide patients are many, but most importantly, they include education and coordination and medical guidance to a low carbohydrate diet, along with remote monitoring of weight and remote monitoring of continuous glucose patterns. What's a CGM? A CGM is a device that provides continuous glucose monitoring. It's a wearable device that patients use to observe their blood glucose levels in real time, even 24/7 if they choose to. It shows patients based on what they eat how their blood glucose changes. It demonstrates blood glucose spikes and prolonged elevations, as well as average glucose over various periods of time, and also good glucose patterns and bad glucose patterns. A CGM allows your doctor also and your nutritionist on a remote basis to follow your blood sugars as well, and that can be extremely motivating for some of our patients. This is a CGM. There are several brands out there, but basically you take it out of the box, open it up, clean the area that's going to be applied, either the back of the arm or the abdomen, with an alcohol wipe, and then go ahead and place the device. Once the device is placed, it stays there securely for 2 weeks. As you can see, it's relatively small, relatively thin, and has a very small probe that penetrates just underneath the skin to provide continuous glucose monitoring data. CGMs are extremely safe. They've been used by diabetics for over 15 years. We are now just introducing this technology for pre-diabetics and non-diabetics to help them lose weight and improve their metabolic health. By the way, I'm going to use the term blood glucose and blood sugar interchangeably. They're really the same thing. With CGM, we help our patients maintain a normal blood glucose and avoid blood glucose spikes and persistent elevation. This allows them to burn fat and lose weight. Knowing your blood sugar in real time can be extremely motivating. Our patients very quickly learn what foods allow them to maintain a relatively good blood sugar range and what foods don't, and really how to keep their blood sugar in a range that they need to lose weight. They learn to keep their blood sugar in a range that effectively allows them to burn fat instead of glucose as their body's fuel energy source. If we can lower their average blood sugar, then there is less blood glucose available as a source of fuel. As a result, the body will use preferentially fat for energy, and the patient will lose weight as they burn fat. Most Americans ingest relatively high amounts of carbohydrate. In fact, the average American diet has over 300 grams of carbohydrate in it today. This keeps most people's blood glucose range in a relatively high range. When that occurs, a person burns glucose almost continuously as their metabolic fuel source. If you burn glucose constantly, then you never have an opportunity to burn fat and lose weight. By helping to eliminate blood sugar spikes and elevations in blood sugar for prolonged periods of time, we help our patients burn fat consistently so they can lose weight. Think about it. About 100 years ago, Americans were ingesting less than 100 grams of carbohydrate a day on average, and most were thin. At least not many people back then were overweight. Diabetes was rare then. It was about 1% of the population. Now the American diet averages over 300 grams of carbohydrate per day, and the rates of obesity and diabetes and the associated complications like hypertension, heart attack, strokes, and peripheral vascular disease have soared. Today, for the 60% of Americans who are overweight, associated health issues such as diabetes, prediabetes, hypertension, and elevated cholesterol and triglycerides are very common. And of course, those are the precursors to serious disease such as strokes and heart attacks and bad peripheral vascular disease. We mentioned a few minutes ago that we are also a metabolic health practice. What does that mean? Well, a huge issue today is metabolic syndrome. What's metabolic syndrome? Metabolic syndrome is a common condition of overweight middle Americans, and it consists of increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, prediabetes, if you will, and we think many people are pre-diabetic that don't even know it yet. Excess body fat around the waist, and then abnormal cholesterol and triglyceride levels. The common denominator of all these conditions is a problem known as insulin resistance. And though I'm not going to go into detail about insulin resistance and its pathophysiology, I want you to remember that term because it's very important. Basically, it means when our body's organs get hammered with high levels of blood sugars for many years, then ultimately those organs become resistant to insulin. And that's when the serious problems associated with high blood glucose begin. If you can reverse insulin resistance, you can reverse or eliminate many of the problems associated with metabolic syndrome. Let's talk about diets for a second. There's a reason that low carbohydrate and ketogenic diets have become very popular in recent years. They work. They work as a weight loss tool, and they work in helping reversing the problems of metabolic syndrome. These low carbohydrate diet include options ranging from keto, which is kind of a hardcore approach to a low carb diet, all the way through to a Mediterranean diet, which is more liberal regarding the number of carbohydrates that are ingested. And there are many diets in between, including the paleo diet and the Atkins diet, and many other diets. So there are many low carbohydrate diet options. It's a matter of fitting a personalized diet to the person, the patient that we are treating, that is the key to their weight loss. Let me give you an example of that. If I have a patient come to me and they're 15 or 20 pounds overweight and they're eating about 150 grams of carbohydrate a day, then we look at their numbers and suggest that, yeah, maybe a fairly low carbohydrate diet, 50 grams a day or less, at least for 5 or 6 weeks before we liberalize that, is appropriate because they can meet their weight loss goals with that. But if I have a patient come to me that's significantly more overweight and they're eating 250 grams of carbohydrates per day, we need to take a more incremental approach. And that incremental approach is based on their data. We look at their numbers, their baseline labs, their level of insulin resistance, their initial couple weeks of continuous glucose monitoring data, and maybe we say, you know what, we're going to start you at 150 grams a day, which is a significant drop from where you were. And once you adjust to that and achieve success, then we'll move you lower so you can accelerate your weight loss. But if we start that patient at 50 grams per day, they aren't going to do well. Their body's not going to adjust to that, and they may abandon their weight loss goals, and we, of course, do not want that to happen. So this really is a data-driven diet where you look at numbers and then you follow numbers to achieve success in weight loss and success in metabolic health. I want to mention also that in addition to losing weight and reversing metabolic syndrome, there are other potential advantages of a CGM low-carb diet approach. These include reversal of fatty liver disease and also improvement in energy and mental clarity. Now, you might ask, well, what does energy and mental clarity have to do with a low-carb diet? Well, this is what it has to do with a low-carb diet. If you're eating a large number of carbs, then your glucose is elevated and your glucose spikes. Inevitably, after a spike in glucose, that glucose drops into a condition called hypoglycemia, which is a low blood sugar. Low blood sugar causes fatigue and it can cause mental fogginess. If we can help you keep your blood sugar in a low normal range and avoid those spikes, then we can help you improve your energy level and your mental clarity. Also, when that happens, you may see an improvement in sleep patterns like many of our patients have seen, and you may have improvement in hormonal balance, especially related to testosterone and estrogen levels. There's a lot of data out there that low-carb diets improve those parameters. It's a matter of managing the right low-carb diet for the right patient so that they can achieve their goals and move forward incrementally. I want to be clear that not every one of our patients experiences all these benefits, but many do. For patients that are able to achieve success with a low-carb diet using a continuous glucose monitoring approach, they generally feel a significant increase in their overall health and well-being. So in summary, I'd like to encourage you to educate yourself about the benefits of low-carb diets. Also, learn about a continuous glucose monitor. I would also suggest that learning something about insulin resistance would be very valuable as well, because that is where all the risks associated with the multiple medical problems we've discussed begin. I'd also ask you to learn about improvements in metabolic health that can be realized on a low-carb diet. For example, reversal of prediabetes and hypertension, and improvements in levels of cholesterol and triglyceride. There's plenty of information out there, you just need to go get it. I also encourage you to learn about using a continuous glucose monitor for weight loss in non-diabetics and pre-diabetics. We call this the CGM diet. You can do this simply by searching the webs using the terms CGM, non-diabetic, and weight loss, and you'll find a lot of information on weight loss and metabolic health approaches utilizing a CGM. And of course, if we can help, or if you want to learn more about our practice, please contact us. Thank you for your time.